Well, good evening, everyone. We're going to get started here so we can honor your time and hopefully not keep you here too long. My name is Nathan Cooke, and I am the newest member of the Redlands Fire Department, and honored and privileged to serve as the fire chief in this wonderful community. So at the bottom of my heart and on behalf of the city of Redlands and certainly the Redlands Fire Department, we want to say thank you for attending this evening. This is a display of what it looks like to cooperate as a community together in preparedness for what may come to our community, and that we have certainly seen come throughout the state of California over the last number of years. So with that said, we're going to get started. At the end, we're going to have a session of question and answers, and we've got some folks from different agencies that are here representing that we would love to engage and interact with you as a community, so it's not just us delivering information, but really to hear what your concerns are. And that's the point of this today, to understand where you stand as a community member and how we can engage together to bring an answer to this problem that's not going away anytime soon. So with that said, welcome, we appreciate it. There's restrooms outside in the foyer there. If the fire alarm goes off, we're going to exit right through these doorways in the back here. And again, thank you for being here. I apologize that it's not too cool in here yet, but hopefully the AC will keep up. So with that said, we've got a couple dignitaries in the audience that I wanted to recognize that are here today. And the first off is former council member John James. You wave your hand there. Thanks so much for being here and all you've done for the community over the years. And then certainly also Barbara Reardon is here as well. If you can just wave your hand. Thank you so much for being here and your dedication to the city of Redlands. So with that said, we're going to get things kicked off. And so again, the reason that we're here is to talk about the wildfire threat to the city of Redlands. This is an actual picture of a fire that was encroaching on the city of Redlands a few years ago. And that is a DC-10 that stopped the fire from coming to the city of Redlands. And we'll talk about our cooperators and the importance of that. But had that aircraft not been able to drop, and had other things been in alignment, as we like to say, we could have seen a completely different picture for the city of Redlands. So I've got a quick video that I want to jump to here real quick. And as you're all aware, last year in Northern California, the community of Paradise was devastated by the Camp Fire. And CAL FIRE was kind enough to put together a video that really kind of demonstrates the threat and what happened to the city of Paradise. And so I'm just going to show you a quick few-minute clip, but I really want you to hone in to the words of the chief officer that's talking and the dispatcher, and put yourself in Redlands, because as I'll tell you throughout this presentation, we too can become a paradise, and we too can become a Malibu with the Wolseley fire. And I can name fire after fire after fire that the lay of the land and the way that Redlands is situated, we can be that if we're not careful. And so we want to make sure that we're prepared, and so I'll jump right into the video here.
Unarmed.
Emergency. Fire rescue. Fire rescue. Fire rescue.
I talked to one caller, an elderly lady that were trapped in a house that was on fire, and they were in a room trying to stay away from it with no windows. I think I was on the phone with her for 9 minutes trying to get an answer that they could get out of the house. And she's just like, I can't. And they were coughing, choking, gagging. I heard the girl screaming in terror in the background. At one point, I was even trying to talk her through some of the training we go through as firefighters for structure survival. Like I said, I think I was on the phone with her for 8 or 9 minutes, and then it just stopped. And all you can do is hang up and move to the next call, because for hours, every 911 and 7-digit, every line in our phone system was red.
Oh, there's nothing for it. I know. Can you guys get them out without assistance? I don't have a lot of resources to send. Everything's back up. Where do we go? I'm scared. I have my kids with me.
I want you to go ahead and evacuate immediately. We do have the fire department in the area, okay?
In the wheelchair. We're being evacuated. You can't get out of the house.
The majority of us, probably 90% of us, have been able to get through the Concal Fence Road, Paradise, make the loop, to have the mental picture of what's left and what's not.
And so the takeaway for me on that video, there's a few of them obviously, but as you heard the 911 dispatcher that was calling, I think the gentleman was on the phone and he was panicked. He was in his vehicle with his children and he couldn't get out. And the response from the dispatcher was, we don't have any resources to send. And as we'll see in this particular presentation that you'll see, our hope is to inform you that we can't do it alone. We have to have the community on our side. And it's critically important that we all work together to ensure the safety of our community. It's not just on us, it's not on law enforcement, it's not on these allied agencies, it's us collectively as a community. So I've got a map up here, and thanks to our friends, by the way, CAL FIRE is here, and I'll introduce them here in a little bit. They're one of our cooperators in the area, and we've got a wonderful relationship with them along with the other area fire departments. But CAL FIRE, which is our state firefighting agency, and by the way, they're the experts in the wildland fire arena. They put this map out, and it's been out for a number of years now, and they're working on updating it. But this map is out. And what we did is we took an overlay of the city of Redlands, because the map that they put on their website is kind of, it's a little distorted. It doesn't really get down into the city view per se. We've got two large scale maps out here in the foyer, so I would encourage you when you leave, if you didn't see them, take a look at them. And this is very dramatic. I want it to be dramatic because it truly is. If you look at the areas in red, that is CAL FIRE's very high fire hazard area. And if you just come up to the 30,000 foot level for a second and you look at the city boundaries of Redlands, just taking a quick swipe across the map, you'll see that about a third of our city, 1/3 of our city is in the red. That's very high, and that's extreme. Places like Paradise, the Wolseley fire in Malibu, those areas are designated as very high fire hazard areas. So the CAL FIRE is telling us, it's a clue called a clue for the law enforcement folks that are in here. This is a clue that tells us we're in a bad situation with regards to being in a very high fire hazard area. And that's just the red. Then you look at the high, which is kind of that orange color, it gets bigger. And then obviously in the moderate section, and so you can see just by looking at the red and the map that that's a big portion of our city. And it's not just isolated to the south area of the city either. There's sections in the north area that we need to be concerned with as well. So what does that mean? If you just take a third of our population, you're looking at roughly 23,000 people that could be impacted in the very high fire hazard area, not just the high. 12 square miles of the city, again, just taking it in thirds, which equates to hundreds of homes and or buildings, commercial buildings, that could be destroyed or damaged during a significant wildfire event in our community. This is an important note, and again, it is what it is. It's a fact. I can't argue the facts, and I'm not here to do any political grandstanding in this. It's informational. We have 18 firefighters on duty a day to protect 23,000 people that potentially are in the front of this fire, this flaming front that's coming through, or these spot fires that occur like it did in Paradise. And so we have to rely on the community. We have to rely on you folks to help us to ensure that we can do the best job that we can. And by the way, in the short 10 months that I've been here, I can tell you hands down that we have some of the best professional firefighters in the state of California, and if not the world. And so these guys are highly trained. As you saw some of our equipment that's out there, we're ready to rock and roll when the call comes in, but we can only do so much. And so that's kind of a big piece of this. And then obviously we have to rely on outside agencies. And I'll talk about some contracts that we have here in a second, mutual aid agreements, auto aid agreements with our allied agencies. As you all are aware, when these major wildland fires start to happen, they're burning across the state of California. You know, you look at the news and the state of California is on fire. Well, guess what? That's a drain on all those resources. So those contracts that we're counting on, those mutual aid agreements that we have, those resources may not be available at the time our particular fire breaks, and so that's an important component of this. The new norm in California, the drought impact. So obviously we're now technically out of the drought. The drought destroyed a lot of vegetation, not only in our area, but throughout the state of California. So what does that mean? There's a lot of dead duck that's underneath everything. Once it's dead, and it's sitting there, and that's fuel that's unburdened, ready to carry the fire. Then we have the rains that came, and obviously the grass has sprouted up and they cropped up, and now we've got this drying effect. As you drive into Redlands proper, you look on the hills and everything's brown now. So what's happening is those fuels now will carry the fire into the deeper fuels that are dead and dying that are on the ground from the drought, the years of drought impact that's out there. Wind-driven fires, campfire, Woolsey fire. The fire that I'm concerned about as a fire chief in this community is a wind-driven fire. We have very unique wind patterns in the Redlands area, more so than any other community that's around us. Yeah, sure, the San Bernardino Mountains and the foothill areas have the traditional Santa Ana winds, where the winds will flow from the mountains down into the coastal areas, and so you'll see a reverse wind pattern there. Down in the canyons, and Chief Topolewski, who's one of our senior tenured veterans here, I had an opportunity to drive the canyons with him, and he explained to me what the winds do here. They're all over the place. They're different than what we're used to maybe in some of the other communities over here. So a fire could start back in the canyon on the south area, and you get a wind that comes up over the mountains, off of Moreno Valley back into here, and pushes the fire into our community that way. As we saw with the Palmer fire, the winds were coming out of the east, pushing the fire to the west. And so the unique topography of the city of Redlands lends itself to wind patterns that are basically unlike any other area. So that's an important element for us. And then the urban sprawl. You know, let's face it, California, everybody wants to be here, and we're building in areas that are prone to wildfires. And so that in and of itself, we potentially are putting fuel in front of the fires. And so if there's fuel to burn and consume, that will carry the fire as well. And as I mentioned before, multiple incidents at the same time. Human behavior, and this is where I really want to kind of hone in on. Human behavior over the years has changed drastically. There is this, and I'm guilty of it, and I'm sure a lot of us in this room are, we love our cell phones. And there's this phenomenon that goes on with cell phones. And everybody wants to get the cell phone out, and I got to get a selfie with the fire coming, got to get a selfie with the airplane dropping in the back, and I lose all sense of reality. And so the fire may have been 10 minutes away, but I got my phone out, and I'm filming, and I'm getting a great shot, and I'm doing the edits because I got to make it look cool on social media. Well, 7 minutes tick by, 8 minutes tick by, and before you know it, and that's why I have these pictures up here, if you look at the bottom, most every one of these pictures has somebody watching the fire out with their cell phone. Then you become these guys at the top. Now the fire's on you. And now you've created a massive issue for us as first responders coming in. We no longer can focus on fighting the fire. We have to focus on moving people out of the way and saving lives. And so the human element has changed over the years. And so I can see some of the folks here have been around a little longer than some of us younger folks. And I know you're scratching your heads going, what in the world are we doing? You know, when you were told to evacuate back in the day, you didn't question anybody. You went. You knew the danger was there. Now it's a little different. And so I know I'm speaking to the choir on this, but I really want to emphasize that point. The other piece is, for Southern California, fires burn all the time. I really need to evacuate. I got time to evacuate. I got a lot of things going on. You know, life goes on. And the fires in Moreno Valley, why are they evacuating Redlands? Why? Come on. And so there's this, you know, complacency that kicks in when it comes to evacuations. And just being residents in California, another evacuation, another fire on the news. And so we become complacent. And we don't feel like we really need to adhere to what potential danger is out there. And again, people waiting despite the direct danger that's in front of them to evacuate, which creates massive issues. The last piece on here is construction features. Every single one of these homes that I have shown here are newer construction, which is incredible when it comes to defending the advancement of a wildfire. Tile roof, stucco, wood frame. You know, that's awesome. Boxed-in eaves. We're doing everything as a community to ensure that our homes and our buildings are meeting the fire codes, and our community risk reduction folks are here, and they're doing a great job at that. Guess what we just did to you guys? We put you in a place that's insulated with dual pane windows that you can't hear your neighbors. You can't hear the sirens as we're driving down the streets. You can't tell that there's smoke coming into your house because you've got thick insulation. And so you've got a fire burning next door to your house, your eaves are on fire, and you're sound asleep with your family, you have no idea. Because we got some great construction features now, and so it kind of worked in reverse a little bit. So there are stories after stories, campfire, Wolseley fire, on and on and on, and it can go on, where first responders, firefighters were driving into neighborhoods, vehicles parked in the driveway, knocking on the door, kicking in front doors, and full families sound asleep while their homes were burning. They had no idea. And so, folks, we're not immune to that. And so I want to highlight that although we are doing and making strides in areas of building construction to prevent the fire spread, that also is creating some issues there that I don't even think that we're really thinking about. So what's Redlands doing about the risk? That's great, Chief. You're telling us all this stuff, but we've got to work, you said we've got to work collaboratively at this. And so here's some things. We have recently formed a wildland fire preparedness group. All the cities across the board in the city of Redlands are participating in that. We're working with our counterparts at the PD right now to ensure that our evacuation methods are working well. There's a new thought for contraflow, so ensuring that we're getting as many people, and remember potentially 23,000 people that are in the front of this fire out of the impact zone as quickly as we can. And so we're trying to turn 2-lane streets into 2-lane highways to get everybody out. So we're working on that and developing plans for that. We're trying to bolster our public information dissemination plan, and we'll talk to you about that a little further. And of course, we're going through exercises, and we're always training to prepare for this. Further measures, our storage tanks and pumps, we're checking them constantly. We check our water pressures with our community risk reduction, with our counterparts at the water department and MUED to ensure that we have adequate water supplies throughout the city. Backup generators, obviously we know that the power is going to go out almost instantaneously when a fire starts. And by the way, we're working with Edison now, and you've probably seen it on the news. They're doing preemptive power shutoffs to ensure that their lines aren't causing the fires because of PG&E and Paradise. So now the power could be out long before the fire ever comes to Redlands. And guess what? That could potentially hamper our efforts when it comes to pumps and water supply. So we're working with our folks and our counterparts in the other agencies to ensure that we always have adequate water supply. Our cooperators here with CAL FIRE, we have a wildland contract with them that we pay them a fee annually, which by the way is the best money that we can spend. And what they will do for us in certain areas in the canyon that we have all mapped out, they will bring to bear every resource that they have available to ensure that we assist stopping the fire and putting it out. And so that includes dozers that we have out there. Hopefully you're able to take a look at that and see what kind of equipment that is. That's a massive piece of tool that we can use. Obviously the aircraft is available. Aircraft is very expensive. Little Redlands can't afford a helicopter or any fixed wing. And so we have our cooperators who are willing to do that. We have hand crews. They're the largest firefighting agency in the state of California. If they're available, and hopefully they're available in the area when this fire occurs, we'll be able to bring those resources to bear. The other big piece, and I mentioned it, is Edison. We're actually actively working with Edison right now. I think we put it out on social media. You may have been seeing these low-flying helicopters over the last few weeks. That's Southern California Edison taking a look and inspecting their lines, ensuring that they're doing weed abatement underneath them. So if they do have a surge or something happens and something pops off, that spark doesn't hit a vegetation patch and takes off, and now we've got a fire in the canyon that was caused by Edison. So those are the things we're working on. So what is the Redlands Fire Department specifically doing about it? Because obviously it's a wildland fire chief, and so that's your wheelhouse. We have just renamed our Fire Prevention Bureau to the Community Risk Reduction Division. And yet there's an important element to that. We know we will not prevent 100% of the fires, whether they're structure fires, house fires, dumpster fires, vehicle fires, wildland fires. That's just the reality of the world that we live in. What we can do is have meetings like this and talk and educate people and say, hey, we want you on our team to reduce the risk to the community. And so that's really kind of what our focus is now. We're shifting our focus to preventative. Certainly we want to prevent as much as we can, but we want to reduce the risk. And so our folks in the Community Risk Reduction Division are doing a great job on a number of fronts, and I'll talk about some of those here in a second. Again, we have a joint partnership with CAL FIRE. One of the things that Chief Barlian and I, he's here, and I'll introduce him here in a second, that we've been talking about with some of their folks is doing, again, more of a public education campaign, and that may look like some type of checkpoint out in the canyon occasionally, just as a friendly reminder, hey, you know, this is an area that's prone to wildfire. Here's some tips that you can use to ensure that you're hardening your home and these types of things. Obviously, we're having town hall meetings. We're working with the service clubs here in the city to talk about this issue. And for our community risk reduction folks, they're tasked with ensuring that we have 100% compliance with our weed abatement program. We have a zero tolerance, frankly. When somebody has a fuel bed that can cause their neighbor's home to catch on fire, we're very concerned about that. And so we have a municipal code that allows us, that gives us the authority and the teeth to enforce this vegetation management. Defensible spaces, in essence, is what we're creating through the weed abatement program. And so that's in full swing. We are currently abating properties right now. We've given everybody the adequate time, and we are abating properties. If they're not going to do it, we're going to do it, and we're going to lean the property, and that's just the way it is. Here are some concerns that I have as a fire chief that I think the community should be aware of. And I already mentioned it earlier on, but I'm going to reemphasize this over and over again. And it's not fear mongering, it's just to state the fact. We only have 18 firefighters on a day. And so, given a perfect storm, which a lot of these fires, literally and figuratively, it's a perfect storm, firestorm that sets up, is we may not be able to rely initially on allied agencies. And so, in the initial onslaught, when this fire occurs, the worst case scenario, the wind-driven fire, we have 18 people that are on duty that are going to respond to this fire. So, 23,000 people, hundreds of homes that we're tasked with protecting. By the way, the human behavior element is going to dictate our tactics. Campfire, Wolseley fire. We can't firefight if we have people in the way. We've got to remove them. So now our tactics have changed from firefighting and stopping this progression of the fire. By the way, fire doubles in size every single minute, in case you didn't know that. Now we're doing rescues. Now we're pulling people out of homes. Now we're getting people out of the way. We're putting people in fire engines. Who would have thought that we'd see the day of that? We're putting people in fire engines and evacuating them out to a safe area and coming back. How long does that take? What has the fire done in that time frame? We have, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse. I want to highlight this, and again, it's not your minds, I'm not to get on a political grandstand, but the fact of the matter is in 2008, we had a consultant that came in and said, we need a fifth fire station. Our call volume has increased drastically since then, and if we have a fifth engine, it will help. It's not going to be the end-all catch-all. We need to have our cooperators, we need to have all these types of things, but each time we put another unit on the street, each time we have another set of boots on the ground, that will help impact the outcome of the fire. And so that's really kind of what I want to highlight in that. What is your role? Again, I can't thank CAL FIRE enough. We're ripping all their stuff off. They've got a great program that's called Ready, Set, Go. And so your role as a community member now, I've talked about what we're doing, so what do you do as a community member? Well, guess what? There's a couple things that you can do. You can be ready, and you can be fire adaptive and ready, meaning this is the first step. I applaud you for coming out here. I'm so thankful that you're out here. That means you're engaged and you're willing to help us in this process. Take personal responsibility. Prepare long before the fire comes. That's today, that's tomorrow, that's talking to your family, having an escape plan. Sometimes, and hopefully a lot of you have escape plans for your house. If your house catches on fire, Edith, exit drills in the home. Where are you going to go? You should have an Edith for a wildland fire. You should know where you're going to be going when you see the danger. The thing I want to highlight there is when you see the danger. We may not be able to tell you the danger is coming because it's coming so fast because it's a wind fire. Talk to the folks in Paradise. They had no idea this fire was coming. They did everything in their power to notify them. The power was out literally and figuratively. We'll talk about why some of those issues are there. Create defensible space around your home, clearing brush around your home, using fire-resistant landscaping, hardening your home with fire-safe construction measures, and then assemble emergency supplies well in advance of the fire. Set situational awareness. That's the big piece I'm talking about. If you see the smoke, if you smell the smoke, your radar should be up. You should be thinking, okay, there's a fire nearby. Go to social media, take a look at that. Be on the alert. We'll talk about the alerting system that we have. Know how to receive the alerts. Have your emergency items ready to rock and roll ahead of time. And then go. Act early. Don't wait to leave. Don't wait to be told. Again, human behavior has changed. Well, nobody told me to go. Yeah, but your pants are on. Well, I know what they haven't told me to go yet. Well, what do we need to say? But that's the reality. That's where we live today, currently in our society. It just is what it is. So be ready to go early. Have the evacuation plan and follow the plan that you have. Once you do see authorities, our counterparts in law enforcement are going to be out there helping to evacuate. By the way, they only have a handful in two. And so we're going to bring all our resources to bear from our folks in the community services, newly formed community service department, forming quality of life, MUED, public works, streets. We're going to have everybody out there assisting it. This is going to be an all-out effort. So what can you do for your home specifically? And this is just a quick map, and I'll show you the website that you can go to in a second to kind of look at this. This is what we're talking about when we're talking about defensible space and hardening your home or using those types of things. So from your house, the actual building itself, from 1 foot to 30 feet away, so from the actual structure 30 feet out, it's called Zone 1, lean, clean, and green. I just love the little acronyms they come up with. So it should be lean, meaning you're removing all dead plants and grass. It should be clean, so any dead or dry leaves or pine needles that are coming around, or your roof line or your rain gutters. By the way, all those leaves that are sitting in your rain gutters, that's a carrier of fire. Keep tree branches at least 10 feet away from your chimney and any other trees that you have, so you want to trim those up. And then Zone 2 is that 30 foot to 100 foot space where you're going to reduce the fuel bed. So if a fire comes in, and this is an incredible graphic, I think my 8-year-old daughter drew that, but it's very simplistic because it shows the different zones, and it talks about, as you can see, the further you get out, obviously you can have a little more vegetation, but if you notice in this particular graphic, everything's green. So if you're within that 100-foot zone, you should have green vegetation. By the way, green vegetation, ornamental vegetation, will burn as well. If it gets the right amount of heat on it, it will burn. So it's not immune from burning. It's less likely to burn. It won't carry the fire as quickly, but it still too will burn. And so at the bottom here, and we've got handouts that we've been handing out. There's materials, so please grab some on the way out. But you can go to readyforwildfire.org. That really kind of showcases these particular diagrams. Further on your role, if you're going to create divisible space, please do it responsibly. Don't do it right now at 6 o'clock in the evening, 2 o'clock in the afternoon when the winds kick up. You folks have been here a while, you know what the winds will do. So let's be smart about it. Do it in the early morning hours before it gets hot. If you're going to do it, don't do it in a red flag warning day. If you hear red flag, or like this is a potential for ignition for fires, have a readily available water source in case you do spark up a fire. When you're doing this, a lot of our fires throughout the state of California have been caused by people trying to do their due diligence and creating defensible space and created a fire and no way to suppress it. So if you have a portable fire extinguisher, if you have a garden hose, if you have a 5-gallon bucket of water, whatever it is, be responsible when you're doing these types of things. What is your role? Your role is to be informed. And so how many of you still have landlines in here? Okay, wonderful. Not the response I was looking for. You didn't raise your hands. The point is, most people don't have landlines anymore. So those are the people that aren't here that are checked out that need to be here. Because our reverse 911 system only goes to landlines if you don't sign up. So that's great. You guys still have the landlines. I applaud you for that. That's great. How many have cell phones? Everybody's hand's going to go for that one. Well, if you are not signed up for redlands.onthealert.com, you will not receive our alert for fire, because we don't know who your cell phone carrier is. We don't know what the number is, and that would be invasion of privacy or something. So please, if anything you do tonight, sign up for this. That's the most important takeaway for me. Sign up for this, get the alerts from us. And then certainly follow us on social media. We're going to do a better job as an organization and certainly as a community for the city to try to give you real-time information. We're on Facebook Live right now. I applaud Captain Sandberg for that first time. So we're engaging social media folks right now at home. They're enjoying this town hall meeting from wherever they're at. And so we have to engage social media. We know that's the way. We know that's the future. And so we will be trying to give real-time alerts out on our social media platforms as well. And so I just listed the fire department ones, but the city also has numerous platforms that you can subscribe to or like and get that information as well. If you see your suspicious activity, if you see something, say something. Especially in the canyon areas and areas that are wildfire prone. If you see something that's not right, pick up the phone and call. I've got the Redlands Police Department phone number on here. If you don't remember the number or whatever it may be, feel free to call 911. They'll send folks out there to take a look at these people and see what they're doing out there. It's really important that I think some of these fires, people obviously are driven towards arson. It's a sickness, it's an illness, and when we advertise these types of things on the news, we can get an influx of people in the canyons going, oh, it's a red flag warning, and if somebody wanted to do and cause destruction and harm to our community, they can do so very easily. But somebody may have seen them before they were able to do it, so I really encourage you for that. The other piece that's really important, and we'll have some staff from the Community Risk Reduction out here. If you see unsafe properties in the city of Redlands, it doesn't matter if they're in the canyons or not, whether that be overgrown vegetation, whether that be an unsafe property for dilapidated conditions, whatever it may be, please contact us. We need to know about that, and we will go out there and enforce to the extent of law that we can and the rules to ensure that people are adhering to that. So if you know of properties right now and you've got some ideas, we'll have some folks that will take that information down after this meeting. And here's our phone number. You can go to our website as well and get in contact with us. We will enforce and go after folks because we want to prevent any fires from occurring. So with that said, we want to turn this time over to you. And so, again, I really appreciate the fact that you're here. A special shout out to CAL FIRE. San Bernardino Fire Unit Chief Glenn Barley is here with us tonight. Just raise your hand. He's our counterpart over at the San Bernardino unit and brings a lot of resources to bear. And so we're excited that he's here and thankful for that. And so at this time, I'm going to call forward some experts, if you will, from different departments here in the city. And we just want to have a panel discussion and open it up. We'll have some microphones available from our staff here. That if you have a question regarding this particular topic, we would love to engage with you if there's concerns or whatever it may be. So at this time, Assistant Chief Martinez from the Police Department, come on down. We've got Faye Glass from Emergency Management. Kevin Watson from our Municipal Utilities Engineering Department. He's our water guy. And then, did Eric show up yet? I haven't seen him. And then, yep, come on down. And then we've got Chief Darren Gaddy from CAL FIRE that's here as well. And then our Deputy Chief from Redlands Fire Department, Rich Sessler. So again, this is about engagement, and so don't be shy. Whatever question you may have, we've got some staff that we're going to walk some microphones to you or come out to the center of the aisles, and we would just love to hear your questions and try to facilitate some discussions. So we can get the microphones going here.
What about the Porter homes? Are those a concern to you?
Porter Homes. Let me get over here.
Yes. Code enforcement is a division that we oversee. They are constantly going out by, whether it be a reactive phone call, a proactive stance, something they see that needs to be concerned before it ends up in chief's hands. Yeah, we try to maintain, those calls and those concerns as they come in or as we see them.
Okay. Two things I'm concerned about are the palms that always have dead fronds on them. And I'm also just rather researching paper on rubber mulch that people are using in their yards that is uninflammable and hard to extinguish.
I can speak to the palm fronds. Yeah, you're right. They're a huge concern. So we oversee the tree division and our what's quality of life department now. It's the facilities, community, and services. So if you hear me revert back to the palm trees are the biggest population of trees we have. We try to kind of figure a way out systematically in-house to try to trim them over the past few years. That hasn't happened, as most of you know. So this year we actually started we asked for the extra budget and are designating a fraction of the budget or a tree budget, which isn't a whole lot, but we're hoping to have about a 6-year trim cycle. We can start with all the main streets. Most of you, or many of you might have seen that last year we did all of Orange Street, go home in Orange, same street. We're going to try to knock out the center this year, and then we'll start getting back on the main street. So it's a huge issue. The ones that are most concerning for not just you, but us, and I'm sure Chief, is some of the palm trees, you see the palm fronds actually grow down to like a 5 or 6 foot level. Easy to reach for anyone, over than 7. So if you see those, we have a small tree crew, it's 3 guys. But if you see those and you want to call into it's the Facility Community Services Department, put a work order in, and we'll put those in the queue for our guys to trim. We won't be able to go up the next day. We'll try to get it within a good time of fashion.
I've seen palms catch on fire, and it's horrifying.
We like to call them Roman candles.
Yeah.
Really, really tall Roman candles. And the old fire in San Bernardino, when it happened in 2003, that was the main carrier fire down in the state that destroyed all those homes. And I forgot, I apologize. This is our newly appointed fire marshal, Vince Anderson, that's going to be on our panel as well. Just quickly on the rubber mulch issue, not only rubber mulch, but synthetic grass. We like the white vinyl siding on our fences now because that looks really cool and it sticks around forever, they tell us. Well, guess what? That carries fire as well. You are correct. And so those are building type codes, and those are all landscaping issues that we're concerned with. At this point, it is kind of what it is, but be leery of that. And if you just we'll just keep working the room.
Yeah, I'll be coming around on each of you in order. I'm going to try and do the best I can. This is for a notification system.
Thank you. I have two questions with regard to the notification system. If Edison proactively turns off the electricity, how is that going to affect your notification system to those of us who have phones that rely on electricity to be live?
Well, for that particular situation, that's why we try to encourage you to make sure that you register your cell phone numbers to that. But it still doesn't stop an officer going door to door. It's just another tool in the shed to make sure that we can make notification to you.
So my other question is, before I put my cell phone number on a notification system, I want to know what the criteria are for what you're going to notify. I mean, for example, I don't want to get notifications when somebody has a lost dog. What are you going to actually be notifying people of?
We try to notify you on imminent danger. So if you have a person that's walking in your neighborhood with a gun, or you need to either shelter in place, or you need to evacuate. We're not going to sit on information that we're having, different events that are going on within the city. That's not what the system is for. It is for emergencies only.
Thank you.
Okay?
This is for Eric. Can you go over for the audience how the 311 app works and how that's informative for you?
Yes, the 311 app it's an app you can download onto your phone. You can take a picture, you can text. It basically works like an email. It comes right to our offices, and from there, there's an admin person that basically goes through and creates a work order for those. Or sometimes it's real low-hanging fruit, and something she'll just call one of us on, and we'll call those guys, and they'll take care of it. I will caution you that if there's an influx of 311 apps that come through on our end over a particular night or weekend, it might take a day to get through those. So if it's something you feel is a real, more of an emergency or a hazard, with a greater potential liability, I would encourage you just to call the Facility Community Services Department, and you can get it on the website. But yeah, 311 apps is super helpful.
Talking about fireproofing your home. Where we live around the university, there's no 30 feet clearance. If we have 5 feet between our neighbor, we're doing good.
Yes, ma'am, and I'm happy to speak to that one on this end. Over by the university, it's not in the high fire hazard zone by any of our regulations. So with the 5-foot clearance, that meets all of your zoning, planning, and building codes.
Yes, sir.
The thing that interested me most was the weed abatement. A lot of us work awful hard to keep our areas clean. And I got cited a while back because they thought I had a ton of brush and stuff. And a fellow from the fire department came up and walked the property with me. And he said, "You have no problems at all. It's all Caltrans." We were right up against the Caltrans fence. 52 years, I've had 5 fires. A lot of people have lost a lot of property because of it. And I'd be willing to bet that in 50 years, the weed abatement wouldn't have cost near as much as fighting that last fire where they had 10 engines, 85 men, 2 helicopters, and a small quarry bomber come over for 12 hours worth of work. Every one of them was caused by cars pulling off down there, somebody throwing out a cigarette, or a helper catching fire. All we have to do is disc the area on there. I talked to people about it, they said, "Well, Caltrans is too hard to deal with." Somebody should get on there and clean that up a little bit. It would save a lot of houses if that ever got bad. We always have wind coming up through that draw.
Can you talk about your relationship with Caltrans and state agencies?
Yeah, so I don't work for Caltrans. I can't necessarily speak for Caltrans, but I do work for a state agency, so we'll take a stab at it. We do deal with Caltrans all the time on right-of-way issues. They're pretty responsive. If you go to their website, there's a contact phone number. You can tell them that you believe you have a legitimate fire hazard problem. They generally come out within just a couple of days. They'll evaluate it. Oftentimes they call us to come do the work for them, and they'll send a work crew out to clean it up. They're busy like everybody else, or they're staffed like everybody else, but they do a pretty good job. We deal with them all the time out in the Victorville area. They're always very very responsive to me. So I don't see why they wouldn't be for you.
And just to add to that, again, if you call out in the city, we have a few different, Caltrans workers that we interact with on different levels of service and management, so we can always put a word in. And like Chief said, they're pretty responsive if they know about it. So yeah, don't be afraid to just call us and report it to the phone.
Hi, my name is Mark Delaney. I live on Fairmont Drive in the red zone. I mean, I'm dead in the middle of the red zone. Who replaced Robert Montagami? Who's the new guy?
That's going to be John Marquez and Alexis Gonzalez.
Because I had a really good
Oh, I'm sorry. He's the code enforcement.
Robert RFD Montagami. I mean, I've got 50 emails here between him and me. We've got a pretty comprehensive weed abatement program that's fallen aside up in the Edgemont and Fairmont Sunset area. And I'd love to get some kind of relationship with somebody to get that going, because we have a lot of people who will not comply. Some people will. There's a large landowner out there that doesn't want to comply. And I don't want my house to burn down.
Sure. I'll speak about it, sir. So Mr. Montagami did work for the agency previously with Wildfire Heights now. With that, so kind of just an overview on our weed abatement program. So we're responsible for 3,000 parcels throughout town. So with those inspections, we found 700 that were not up to compliance. Of those 700, now our city contractor is working through that abatement. So quite frankly, we've had a lot of turnover on our staff this year. Quite frankly, everyone in our positions is vacated and moved on elsewhere. I would love to re-engage. That email list is something that I'd love to put back on our radar.
Now, is the city website a good way to report? Because that's not been working too well.
And we've got phone numbers on there specifically to the fire department.
We can actually do a map and show the city where the actual problem is.
Yes, sir. And if we have that, just as Eric mentioned, that 311 app, we have a fire issue drop down that if we need a perfectly detailed one for weed abatement, that we're getting up to speed.
We'll talk.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Adrian Cincio, Redlands. I want to thank the firefighters and the police here. You guys are doing an outstanding job. I really appreciate your professionalism. And you, Chief, I didn't know you, Chief. I don't think the weed abatement program is working that great. How many square miles do we have in Redlands that you work?
City of Redlands, 36 square miles.
Okay. I worked in an area in Lake LA. We had 3 men, 400 square miles. We did a pretty good job. But the key thing is, get the wind-driven fire, there's not a thing you can do about it. Now, I report a couple of houses where I live, off of Valley View and Sunset. It took forever. I'm not happy with the weed abatement. Like the person over here was saying, palm trees, I can send you pictures that are 30 feet high with the branch grown all the way up. Have not been cleaned. We need to get these palm trees, I think. Once they burn and you have a wind-driven fire, they'll blow to the next block a half a mile down. And the weed abatement that I'm talking about, where I reported, it took months. I wrote the mayor, I wrote everybody. Finally, I got a response from the mayor to get this taken care of. I wrote all the departments. Within that interim time, we had the fire off of Wabash and the freeway. And we were lucky it wasn't wind-driven. They did a fantastic job. They brought aircraft in there and crews were down working that. Just a fabulous job they did. But if it was wind-driven, you could have not stopped that fire, and all these houses would have been gone. I was at the old fire. That fire.
Can you grab a question you're trying to get?
Oh, okay.
Which how much into this?
The question is, do you have a new weed abatement program now that really works? If you call with a time frame that would be acceptable.
Confident to, so quick timeline on that. With weed abatement program, just we'll keep this all synopsis. Take within a lightning quick process, if everything lines up, it's about a 6-week process, because this is one of the few times that government code actually gives the city or any municipality to go onto private property to clear it. We have to first notify conduct the inspection, notify the property that they're in violation. 10 days again, all very regimented, spelled out. At that point, then it has to go to city council for them to approve, city resources or appointing city contractors on private property. Again, it kind of goes back to the, again, private property, when you're sending someone off to the municipality, that it needs to be absolutely right. So yes, I entirely agree. I wish we could work quicker than that 6 weeks, and we work as quick as we can. But to direct speak to that point, as we do prioritize where we send the city contracts.
Thank you. There was some more over here. So, yes, ma'am.
I'm interested in your evacuation routes. Can you tell us where they are and who they go?
I didn't hear the question.
It's a question about evacuation routes, where they go and where they are.
Well, it all depends on exactly where the fire is, obviously, but we would funnel you away on the main artery, on the roads going away from the fire, to get you out of there, obviously. It depends on where the fire is at.
Can you tell about the arteries? Give us some names of the arteries.
Well, if you say if it's off of Sunset, you'd be taking there down Alessandro, down Rossmont, getting down into, Gargan, Mariposa, and taking it all into town, into the north side already. Sometimes you might have to go down the backside of Alessandro, get out in the canyon, and getting out towards, off towards Fern. All depends on where you're located. There's houses right there in the middle, that they may have to go southbound, some may have to go northbound. All depends on where the fire is at. Kind of difficult to give you an exact answer.
And also, I just wanted to add too, depending on where the location is, we would also do a contraflow to where we would turn the roadway going one way to get everyone out of the area. So instead of having people to come back into the fire area, we just turn the streets just one way. So it'll be a coordinated efforts between, police and fire, of course, facilities maintenance, because we have to put the barricades and stuff like that out to let everyone know.
And I want to break it down even more simple than that. If you don't see anybody doing evacuations, get away from the fire. Best you can, get away from the smoke, get away from the fire, and get to a clear area. Go to the 10 freeway, go to the other side of the city if you can. If you see folks with barricades that are evacuating, they'll obviously direct you where you're going to go. So we don't have it in actuals because the fire could be anywhere. So we can't nail down this is exactly what we're going to do every single time. But we do have some plans in place, depending on where the fire is, to do that, those types of things. So if you don't see anybody, get away.
There's CERT training programs here in Redlands and in Lowland. They, quite a few over the years have been trained. I was wondering, what do you see them being used, how they could be used in a situation like this?
Okay, so about our CERT program, which is Community Emergency Response Team, it's a 20-hour program. We do have literature out there. We have classes coming up in October. So what the CERT members will be used for, they will be used for either or firefighter rehab. They will come into our Emergency Operations Center to where they will be assisting with that as well, and then also setting up call banks to where when people are calling in, want to know the road closures or where the shelter's located, the CERT members will be able to come in. We have cell phones that's already available for them, and they will be able to administer that information to the public. So that's just a couple of things the CERT member will be able to do.
Would they be used passing information to people to evacuate?
That's correct. They will be used as well as the CVPs from the police department.
First response.
They're right up there.
And just in the essence of time, because I know some of you folks are trying to get out of here and we want to honor your time, we'll take 2 more questions and we will be available afterwards to talk to you one-on-one if you have additional questions. So, go ahead.
I see a plethora of 311 apps. Which is the one?
There was a plethora of 311 apps that she's seeing on the website.
I don't know exactly, but it's because I don't have it around me enough, right? If I'll give you a card, if you want to, get a hold of me tomorrow, I can have someone actually probably send you a screenshot or even maybe a hyperlink to it. You can probably get from there. All right.